Hey there, people. So today I am bringing you what I hope will be a complete guide to the Jungle Temple, aka the Lihzahrd Temple in Terraria. What it is, how to find it, how to get into the Jungle Temple with no key or with one, navigating the Jungle Temple and avoiding traps, the enemies you'll find there, accessing the final chamber of the temple if it's blocked off, and all the loot, drops, and plunder you will find. So first of all, what is the Jungle Temple? Well, the Jungle Temple is a large dungeon-like structure made of brownish-orange bricks known as lizard bricks, not to be confused with the hives you'll find in the underground jungle, which are a brighter, more yellow-orange color. Unlike the dungeon, it normally has a single fairly linear path towards a large end chamber. The end chamber contains an altar, which is used to summon the golem boss. Now that part I will not be covering today. I'll cover that next week in my next episode. So let's get on to how to find the Jungle Temple. Well, it's always in the underground jungle, but not in any particular location. It varies a bit in size and it varies a lot in location within the underground jungle. It can be near the top of the underground, near the underworld, right near the bottom, off to one side or in the middle, either side. More often, though, it's in the mid to lower section of the underground jungle, and it's off to one side or the other quite often, but it really can be anywhere in the underground jungle. It can even be on the very, very edge of the underground jungle, with most of the actual temple outside. On occasion, you'll find it that way. So if you're really having trouble finding it, make sure you check all the way the edges of your underground jungle. So I've actually prepared a little graphic for you today. And this is just showing 8 different worlds that I have and where the jungle is, the Jungle Temple in each of them. And you can see, they vary in size also because they're different size worlds, but you can get the idea there that the Jungle Temple itself can be various sizes. It can be various places. You can see it like on the right, more near the bottom, and the first 2 at the top left there. And you can see it on the left side, on the top right one, and you can see it, right in the middle at the very bottom, on the one that's on the bottom in the middle. So it really can be anywhere. And you're basically just going to need to search around the underground jungle until you find it. Ride any minecart tracks you find, fly around open areas, look for those brownish orange bricks. The first place to search really is any large area that you haven't been to yet. Use a process of elimination. You can, dig vertical tunnels and horizontal tunnels if you really have to, but really you're just going to want to look around as much as you can. It's a big thing. When you do find the right area, it's going to be fairly hard to miss. But there are also things that can help you to find it as well. Potions and lights can help. Anything that provides light, and also potions that will highlight certain things. So the Spelunker potion, for instance, I brought a few of those along. That highlights chests and pots and other treasures, including ores. You're not going to find ores in the Jungle Temple, but the Jungle Temple chests and pots will look unique, unlike the other ones that you find in the underground jungle, so that can be useful. Also the Danger Sense potion, that will highlight enemies, and again, that will highlight traps. The Danger Sense potion highlights traps, and again, Jungle Temple has a lot of traps and a lot of wiring. It will show you the wiring as well. The Jungle Temple can have multicolored wiring, which you normally would not find in the underground jungle. So if you see like blue or yellow wires, that kind of thing, that's a sure sign that that's the Jungle Temple. And also the spikes and the dart traps and the flamethrower traps and all that stuff. The Jungle Temple is full of traps. But yes, the Hunter potion is the one that I kind of meant there. It shows the location of enemies, and Jungle Temple enemies are also unique. So if you see, they're called the lizard or the flying snake. We'll show you those later when I actually get to the temple. But if you see those around, again, you're near the Jungle Temple. So any of those can help you with finding it a little bit as well, if you're willing to go to the effort of making those potions. Of course, you can also use shine potions and night owl potions to help your general light or visibility. You can also use light pets. That'll give you a little bit of light as well. Worst case, if you happen to be playing on PC, you can actually use a map viewer or editor like Terra Firma, Terra Map, More Terra, or T-Edit. I've actually done videos on both Terra Firma, the viewer, and T-Edit, the editor. Although lately I've been using Terramap, which I haven't made a video on, but any of those will work. And that's actually how I generated that picture as well. I just pasted screenshots of a few different ones from that. So let's head down to the jungle and I'll get on to the next step here. All right, so just to be clear, these bricks here, that is not jungle temple brick. These are hive bricks. This is a hive, so that's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is these type of bricks that are a little darker color, a little more brownish, orange, and that is your jungle temple. And yes, of course, I had to set this here so I could get here quickly. And this one was more in the bottom, in the middle of this particular world, but again, that varies quite a lot. So, how to enter the jungle temple? Well, the door should usually be near the top on one side or the other. I found this one on this side. And normally, you would get the key when you defeat Plantera, although it is possible to enter the temple without the key. So, I do have the key. I defeated Plantera. So I can just, well, I already unlocked it with the key, but jungle temple key is one of these. And so I can do it that way, the legit way, let's say. That being said, there are other ways to do it. So one is what's called a one-way wall glitch, which is really just a glitch in the game. This still works on 1.3, and I think it might be the only one that does still work since the 1.3 update. We'll see if it still works after 1.4. But what you do is just put 3 platforms on the side of the door, hammer each of them once, so it's actually an upward stairwell. Now, if you have space, feel free to put a 4th. It would work better, but if you do it this way with just the 3, you'll need to hold down as you go through, and you can see you can actually just pass right through that. And I've set this up so that I can show you that you can do it in reverse as well. You can do it both sides. It's just a single hammer on each one. Hold down as you move forward through it, and you can pass right through. If you don't hold down, it's going to do something like this. You can get sort of stuck there maybe. But if you do hold down, you can pass right through. So that will work even on 1.3. Now, if you're on a pre-update platform, you can actually use teleporters or the Rod of Discord still to get in if you do not have the 1.3 equivalent update yet. You will, however, need to hammer out the background walls, these jungle temple background walls on many versions. If those walls were there on most of if it's an up-to-date version for your platform, but it's still pre-1.3, you'll probably need to hammer out these walls. On very old versions, you don't need to do that. On the other hand, although this is 1.3, because I have defeated Plantera, I can still use this. Basically, once you've defeated Plantera, it will let you use teleporters, and it will let you do a couple other things as well. Yeah. So because I have defeated Plantera, I can do that even on 1.3. But if you're on a pre-update platform, you can wire up teleporters, which you get from your steampunker, by the way, wires from your mechanic wrench to place them. And then you can hammer out the background walls so that these brown-orange walls are not behind it. That's actually on the destination that it matters, not where you're coming from, but where you're going to. Probably you wouldn't put this with the background walls there anyway. If you wanted to be able to teleport back, and this was here, you would still need to hammer them out there as well, but you would need to get close enough and put it just inside. It doesn't have to be by the door. Put it just inside, but you would have to hammer out the walls all the way so that basically the walls surrounding that teleporter are all out of the way, and then it should let you do it. Or again, Rod of Discord, if you happen to have one, just hammer out a big enough gap for you to teleport into. Should work. Now, rare occasions, there may also be an opening or an overlapping house or a mini biome, like a marble biome or something, that goes into the side enough and some of the blocks are replaced enough that you can mine those non-temple blocks out, or there may just be a space that you can get through that way as well. That's pretty rare, though. That all being said, yes, you can. There are ways on all versions to be able to get into the temple, so far at least. But you cannot fight Golem until after you have defeated Plantera, except on very old versions again. But there's a very short window there where the Jungle Temple and Golem were added in 1.2, I believe. And then it wasn't long before they patched that so that you can't... oh, he even used that. So that you can't get in there that way. And you can't fight Golem before defeating Plantera. So that was all patched, but you can still get in, and it is useful. It is still useful to get in there for the purposes of gathering traps and other loot. The traps inside the Jungle Temple, very useful for building arenas. And on the updated platforms, you can also get solar tablets and solar tablet fragments, which you can piece into solar tablets, which are used to summon solar eclipses manually. So that's one really big one on the updated platforms, to get those tablet fragments as well. And on all versions, to get the traps, which are worth something too. Now, navigating the Jungle Temple, I guess I can go ahead and remove these. But as I mentioned earlier, the path through the Jungle Temple itself is actually quite straightforward. It's basically a linear path for the most part. I mean, it's going to be up and down, and there'll be drops and stuff. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. The danger, though, is the traps. And as you can see, you want to be able to view and avoid those traps. So there are a few ways of doing that. So a danger sense potion, again, will highlight any of the traps. So let's just show you how that works. And that will highlight the pressure plates. It will highlight the traps themselves, which in this case are up there. And the spikes as well. Now that's one that you're not going to see other ways. The danger sense potion will show you the spikes. So that's useful. That's one way. Another way is to hold any mechanism or wiring related item. In this case, you can use a wire cutter. This is available on all versions. And not only can you see it, but you can actually cut the wires and then render that trap ineffective. Whereas if I don't do that, I'm going to get hit with these. Well, if I happen to be in the wrong place. So the wire cutter will also highlight the wires for you, or any other trap or mechanism will do likewise. I'll just show you, for instance, I can switch off of that, but if I pick up the pressure plate, it's still going to show the wires as well. Now on the updated platforms, there are some additional ways of being able to do that. Obviously, harvesting out those wires with the wire cutter is useful because, hey, free wire, as well as, of course, disabling the traps. You can, of course, also mine out the traps themselves and the pressure plates. Boom. And you can reuse those for arenas and so on. But there are some additional options to be able to see all that stuff on the updated platforms. So I'm just going to break out my money trough. Speaking of updated only, and the mechanical lens is an excellent option because you don't actually have to have that selected. Again, this is available on updated platforms only. You buy it from the mechanic, but the mechanical lens, you just have to put it in your inventory. You don't need to actually have it selected, and that frees you up to be able to fight while still being able to see where the traps are. A step further to that, the grand design, this is actually 1.3.1, but that has now come to Xbox One and PS4 as well as PC. The grand design is kind of one step further to that. Now this will highlight them when it's not selected, but if it is selected, and you can actually, this ruler thing might be annoying, so you can turn that off up here. But when it is selected, you can actually toggle it as a wire cutter, and you can even select all colors of wire. And you don't even have to be near the wires. It will actually allow you to cut those wires from anywhere on the screen, which obviously is awesome. And you can switch back and forth between that and your weapons. Even when it's not chosen, you can still fight. And there you go, disabling those traps. That's going to save you a lot of trouble. So again, not only that, but there are, of course, the enemies. You obviously have seen a couple of them quickly there. The lizards are those, like, sort of humanoid guys that will then crawl on the ground as well. The flying snakes, obviously, are the snakes that fly. They have wings. So those are flying snakes, and those are the two main enemies, other than, of course, the golem boss, who is at the end of the jungle temple. So, well, obviously, these enemies are going to be really hard if you get in here before you've defeated Plantera. At this point, I'm not too worried about them, but this is an expert world, actually. But you may want a hunter potion. It's an option to be able to show you where those guys are as well. So that'll help you out, too, if you want to. I should probably kill these guys because they're really annoying to listen to, right? You've been listening to them for how long? They sound like cats. I don't know. Whatever that's about. Disable those traps. Don't forget to disable the traps. Free wire. And yeah, so those are the enemies, and I'll tell you about the drops in a minute when I get to that section of the video, but there is the issue of getting into the final chamber. If that final chamber is blocked by bricks, speaking of disabling the trap, you'll want to find a way to get in there. So actuators and teleporters, obviously the main thing about getting into that final chamber is fighting the golem boss, which you can only do after you defeat Plantera anyway. The thing is that after you have defeated Plantera, it will then allow you, and not before that, but only then allow you to use things like actuators, teleporters, and so on. So if you've defeated Plantera and you're ready to fight Golem, you can then use actuators and teleporters to make your way through. Like, if this was a solid wall, and say this was the final chamber on the other side, what we can do is just pop a bunch of these in. Now, yeah, there's a limit on how far you can reach, and that actually varies by platform, but let's say I could reach all the way through that. I almost could. Then you can wire that up. Of course, if you are on an updated platform, the grand design comes in very handy there. Wire all that up. I'll even wire it to this pressure plate. And then just to show you what's going to happen here, we'll put torches on either side. Ow. And yeah, I'm actually going to disable this. There we go. And it is basically just going to disable those blocks. And you can put that on a pressure plate, or you can put it on a switch, or whatever you like. But actuators, that's what they do. They disable blocks. And once you've defeated Plantera, which is the only time you can fight Golem anyway, it will then allow you to use actuators in the jungle temple. And that's probably why they allowed that. And teleporters, as I showed earlier, are also valid and usable after you defeated Plantera. So those are two ways to get through any walls you may encounter on your way to the final chamber to fight Golem. So last thing to talk about really is, yeah, they're all blocked before that to prevent early entry. You can't fight Golem anyway, so whatever. But yeah, loot. So there's loot from chests, there's loot from the drops from the enemies, and there's loot from just general plundering. So lizard chests. Did I actually see any of those yet? Ow. See? Gotta disable those traps. I'm gonna get myself hurt. It's a dangerous place. But let's talk about the drops from the enemies. Lizards and flying snakes both have the same drops and the same drop rates. So from them, you can get lizard power cells, which are the ones that you use to activate the altar at the end to fight the golem. That's a 1 in 50 from each of them that you'll get a power cell. Lizard egg is a pet item. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance to get the lizard egg. which will give you the lizard pet. And on the updated platforms only, the solar tablet fragments, 1 in 7 chance that you'll get them from these guys. Let's see how many we got here. Oh, any? I don't think I got any. Ouch. But you get basically the same things mostly from the chest. The chest, I was kind of hoping I would just see one on my way while I was talking about this. Oh, is that one there? No, I think that's a pedestal. But the chest, you will get the same items as well as Lizard Furnace. So Lizard Furnace does not exist on 3DS, but on all other platforms you can get the Lizard Furnace, which allows you to craft furniture out of these blocks, which you can only actually mine after you defeat a golem. But every lizard chest, which is the type of chest that you find here in the Jungle Temple, will contain 1 lizard power cell and 1 lizard furnace. The furnace on all platforms except for 3DS. And the power cell, again, will allow you to summon the golem. And there we go. That's the solar tablet fragment drop from the enemies. Yeah, there we go. There's a chest. So there we go. It's got the furnace and it's got solar tablet fragments. And it should have, yeah, 1 power cell. So it will always have 1 power cell on all platforms. It'll have the furnace on all platforms except for 3DS. It will have random other loot, just like other underground chests, which you can see here. And finally, it will have, on the updated platforms only, it will have a 1 in 5 chance of 1 or more solar tablets. It's a 1 in 5 chance of a full solar tablet and a 4 out of 5 chance of anywhere between 3 and 7 solar tablet fragments. So that's what I got here. A bunch of them, 6 of them. And that's the chest. So then, of course, there are the traps and there's the wires. And you can harvest the traps and the wires. And you can also harvest unique furniture. As you can see here, there's, you know, the chair. Harvest chairs. It's a unique chair, and that you only find in the temple, I mean. And also things like that little pedestal back here. Special tables. Lizard table. So it's got its own unique stuff that is unique to the temple that, you know, obviously is something you can get here as well. And, of course, statues. There are some unique statues in the Jungle Temple as well. So that's basically it. And hopefully I've covered everything. Always remember to disable your traps. Bring your wire cutter, or if you're on the updated, your mechanical lens, or even better, the Grand Design. And be prepared and get everything you want from the Jungle Temple. And get in there, whether you've defeated Golem, or defeated Plantera, sorry, or not. And if you have defeated Plantera, you can make your way to that final chamber and fight the golem, which I'm going to show you next time. So I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.